Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Today we are going to be doing another classes with Katelyn. We will be going over how to fill out the Define Your Year page. I'm going to give us all just a few moments here. Let everyone settle in, get comfortable, and take a moment to grab your planner in front of you. How are y'all doing today? Oh, I'm going to go ahead and pin the product that we're going to be using as well. So for anyone who doesn't have this, don't you worry. Once you grab it, this will be uploaded to Red as well, so you can tune in and define your year with us whenever you want. So I'm going to give us, again, just a few moments. Let everyone settle in before we dive into how to fill out the Define Your Year page. I hope you are all having a fabulous Tuesday. Hey, Lotus. Hey, Bee. I want to make sure you guys all have either your Define planner in front of you, a journal, a notebook, something where you can do some reflecting if you don't have your planner quite yet. Yay, I'm so happy you're here. This is going to be such an incredible class today. Hey, Lakin. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be such a beautiful session. So make sure you guys are all in a space where you can do some extra self-reflection, take some deep breaths before we begin. I'll start this in just a few moments, giving us just some time to let everyone settle in, get that notification that we're on here. Hey, Grains. Hey, Patty. Okay. I will be highlighting each question as we're on it, just to give some clarity and focus points. So I also want you guys to know that this is a safe space when we're going through these. So I always want you to feel comfortable and confident in writing in any questions you may have, in answering, giving your own answers, things like that. So just make sure to know that you do belong here as we're going through these. Good afternoon, Sonia. I'm excited for this session together. Okay. I am going to slowly start this today. I just wanted to take a moment to and welcome you all back. This is our third Classes with Katelyn session, and I am so glad you're here. Today, we are going to be filling out one of my favorite pages in the Define Planner. It is the Define Your Year page right here. I just like adding highlights as I'm going through these to make it feel extra personal and align myself with that extra connection. So this page right here, it is designed to help you reflect, realign, and also reconnect with the version of you that you're becoming. We are going to set the tone for your year. We're going to be asking ourselves to reflect on what matters most, what needs to shift, and also how you want to grow. So if you haven't, grab your planner, grab a pen, maybe even a cup of tea, and just settle on in. This is one of the most valuable pages in the Define system because this is going to help us set our priorities, anticipate challenges, and move through the year with more clarity and self-awareness. So let's dive in. And once again, just to reiterate, before we do dive in, I want you all to know that you can ask questions throughout. Feel free to supply your own answers to these different questions as well. Anything that comes up for you as we are talking about this today. So, as we are diving into these questions, I actually want to start by bringing us back to something that we did in a previous class, and that is our balancing of the plate. This was an exercise, just as a refresher, where we were checking in on how we spend our time and our energy. So this plate right here represents 100% of our time. You might be juggling a full-time job, your partner, traveling for business, kids, career, workouts. And that is what this circle is identifying, because then we went ahead and we sketched it all out. If you don't know what your life currently looks like, you can't know what needs to change. So this balance your plate exercise helped us to build awareness before we really just dived into this Define Yourself and Define Your Year page. So as we go through this Defining Your Year page today, we are at the core asking, Does this plate reflect the life you want to live? Grains asked, if we are following along and revisiting goals, oh, great question. Which is the most like this page? I would say the define deeper is going to help align with this page. But I also think that one thing you could do, which would be interesting, Grains, is you could actually grab like a notebook or even in the back of this planner, you could always write the questions down and reflect separately. Just because they're not the exact same as that planner that I know you're using, but I would say define deeper is going to be the one to align most with it. Great question here. And I'm so excited that you're tuning in. I'm excited for this class today, you guys. And when we are talking about the define your year, to that core, what we are asking is, does this plate reflect the life that you want to live? Are you giving time to what matters, or are certain areas starving for attention? This plate is what is going to help answer our first question. So this will be our shift into defining your year. So, first things first. The first question is going to be, what areas of my life need more balance? You'll notice there's 4 boxes here for you to fill out, and we narrowed them down to 4 for you. So this question is going to reveal the imbalances that you are currently living with. If something feels off, this is where you name it. You cannot grow if you don't recognize what is out of sync. So grabbing that plate, we are going to ask ourselves, where am I overextended? That's going to be the first question. This is our example plate right here. So we are going to start with, again, where am I overextended? Where are we spending too much of our time and energy? I'm going to take a step back from this plate. We're not going to look at it. It's not judging yourself. It's just being aware. I'm immediately noticing that there is so much time being spent traveling for business trips. And that is also a lot of time to be spending away from our family. And so the interesting part as well is that our plate, we actually separated traveling for business from our career. So I want us to always dive a little deeper into why that is. And this right here is going to reveal to us that we don't actually find the travel portion of our career to be adding a whole lot to that success in terms of our career. So in the question 1, define your year, the first one that I'm going to write down here is going to be career, because that is going to encompass the traveling and that little career slice. It's also interesting to note that we actually drew that career slice to be quite smaller than the traveling. So it's as you are going through your own plate, write in the comments what stands out to you. Where are you overextending yourself? Because as we look at this, I am also seeing that our slice for partner is a little bit smaller, if not roughly equal to the one that we have for friends. That doesn't feel so good. So I would also add in partner. That needs a little more balance to it. So partner, you could also in parentheses write your relationship. That way you're identifying, it also will come back to that pathway as we get a little further in here. I do not have kids. This is a example because I know a lot of our audience on here is at a different point in their life. So it's really important that this plate was encompassing of the majority of the people that we have here. And The next question that I want you to ask yourself is, what parts of your life are being neglected? That's a tough question because it makes you realize what you're not making time for. So as you are looking at this plate, you might look here and see, oof, you know what? I see that I am not prioritizing this working out at all. Look how small that slice is in comparison. And that has to do with our health and wellness. So that is really important. So we are going to next add in fitness to our what areas of our life need more balance. And then the last thing that I know a lot of you felt when you were looking at your plate as we did this exercise was the fact that, where is your self-care? Where is your time for joy? Things that bring you joy outside of the office, outside of spending time with other people. That need for self-care is also so important. And that is going to be another area of our life. It's going to be our last one that we list out to what area needs more balance. We're going to list it as self-care. I am so curious, you guys, as we're going through these, what is standing out to you on your plate? What do you have that areas need more balance? As we are going through these, I want you guys to always communicate in the comments anything that comes up for you along the way. As we are moving forward towards what are my priorities this year, that I'm going to highlight just so you all know which one we are working on. Oh, Lakin, doom scrolling. That is a tough one. I know you are not alone in that. I was actually discussing that with someone the other day as well. And so I'm really excited that you recognize that. And I know a lot of these questions are going to help you gear on what changes you want to make. Thank you for sharing that. So now we are going to shift our discussion to what are my priorities this year? Once you have identified what is out of balance, what's out of sorts, this is the question that helps you realign. A priority is not just what you want, by the way. It's what you are choosing to make space for. There is so much intention that has to go in with choosing your priorities. Think of your priorities as the values or the themes that you want to guide your year. These might relate to personal growth. It could relate to your career goals, relationships, health and wellness. And then the other reason why we have you answer this question, and we want you to not list out too many, I want you to focus on 3 to 5 things, is because when everything feels so urgent, it is easy to try to chase too many things at once, and then you just burn out. You lose that motivation because you just feel like you are giving your all, and that is when your plate becomes off balance. So I want you guys to hone in on 3 to 5 priorities when you're answering this question, because that is going to help you choose what really matters. This is how you are going to start to say yes to the right things and no to what is not aligned. Now, everyone's priorities are going to look different because this has to do with our life stages, our goals, and our capacity. So next, I'm going to have you write down 3 to 5 things that you truly want to give your energy to this year. One little tip is that the fewer is going to be better, because when everything is a priority, nothing really is. So let that sink in for a second. If everything is a priority, nothing is. So when you are answering this question, I also want you to make sure that you are considering your plate and the areas that you need more life. The areas in your life that need more balance, excuse me. And so if you are trying to establish a more of a balance with your career, you look at your plate and you go, wow, I am traveling so much and I don't really like how this is making me feel. okay, my priority is going to be spending more quality time with my partner and also my family, because you can see here, they're not that big of buckets for what is truly important to me and my values. So the first priority that I am going to list, let me know what yours are, is spend more quality time with my partner and family. Keyword, quality. The next priority that we're going to identify, because you can see that that first priority aligned well with our relationship area of balance. That's how I want you to connect these two. The next is going to be self-care. So one thing that we had talked about was that look how small this slice is for exercise. That's nothing. We have social media bigger than exercise. That's not okay. So we need to be prioritizing our health and wellness all the time, and that is way more important than how much time we're spending scrolling. I know that is a big problem for a lot of us. So the next priority is going to be prioritizing our health. So really making that a priority. Hey, Kelly. Prioritize our health. Oh, do not be sorry. Doom scrolling is a term that's used when you end up just scrolling on your phone, whether it be on TikTok or any social media, for a lot longer than you would like. So what often happens is it usually happens at night, and you grab your phone and all of a sudden it's been an hour, it's been 2 hours, and you are still scrolling and you don't even know that you're doing it. It often brings up thoughts of comparison, of overanalyzing, and it's not bringing any positivity into your life. Sure, 1 or 2 videos might be funny, but at the end of the day, how is that helping you feel aligned? It's not. So it's this idea of scrolling to your doom. Great question. So in this instance, we will be prioritizing our health first through movement. But the second is also going to be through sleep, because are you resting at all? I want you to look at it. Yep, Maria said that's me as soon as I get home till falling asleep. See, that's that is such a common problem. And so your priority would be to maybe replace doom scrolling with something that feels more fulfilling. And that will really be talked about even further when it comes to what routines do I want to establish or strengthen. So I hold on to that thought and we will come back to it. So that is going to be your priority, is to lessen the amount of time you are spending on your phone. The third priority that we're going to be using in our example today is going to be, along with this self-care as well, we need to be spending time for joy. So we want to be spending more time doing what we love. Or spend more time on, I'm trying to think of the word, on hobbies and passions. Okay, and then let's set one more, because we did have 4 areas that we want to balance. It's important that we also have 4 priorities to go with each of these. And so the next one I wanted to write was going to be focusing on it being present, because how many of us will find that we are spending time with someone we love, whether it's our kids, our partner, a friend, and our mind is somewhere else. You're thinking about that to-do list, how you didn't submit the deadline on time. So sure, you might be spending time with someone, but are you truly being present? Are you engaging as much as you could be? And are you enjoying where you're at? So one other priority I want to set for us is to be more present and consistent with those we care about. And as again, I like to reiterate that if there's ever any questions, never hesitate to ask. That is what this session is all about. And as we are going through these, I want to make sure that we are all following along and really understanding the importance behind each question. Now, this one right here, this is so important. It is a new addition as well. I want to make sure that we emphasize this question. It is so important. And we've talked a lot about this on live in other occasions, but what am I ready to let go of to create space for growth? This is a mindset shift, okay? Growth doesn't just come from doing more. It often comes from releasing the things that are holding us back. I want you to look at your plate here as well. Consider this. What have you outgrown on here that is still taking up a slice of your plate? What is no longer aligned with the life that you want to live, that you are working so hard to build? One that stands out to me here as I'm looking at this is there might be a lot of friends that no longer serve you, but are occupying so much of your time and energy. Sometimes it's not even the amount of time you spend with them, but it's the amount of time and energy you spend thinking about them, having to plan ahead and reorganize your schedule. So looking at this, I want you to identify however many things you're ready to let go of, but make sure it's realistic. You're not just going to let go of your full-time career because you still need it. You know what I mean? But maybe it's about letting go of some of the traveling for business that you don't necessarily need to be going on. You cannot carry everything. And it's so important to know that. Letting go, it is going to create space for you to breathe. When we name what we are releasing, we are actually creating space emotionally, mentally, energetically for something better. So you are no longer going to have to spend your time with people that are no longer serving you. Instead, you are actually inviting more positive energy, more positive people, and experiences into your life. What is one thing right now that you are all ready to let go of as you are navigating this year? I want you to write that in the chat. I am going to list out here the first, friends that are no longer serving me. Friends. What is interesting about this exercise is that once you write it down, you're going to feel this instant weight off your shoulders. That is a fascinating concept to me that every time, it's even like in those little things when you're journaling, you're finally admitting a truth to yourself that maybe you have been hiding or that you haven't wanted to admit because it's hard. It's not an easy thing. So I don't want you to feel like, okay, now I'm writing it down. It's going to be easy to pursue. That's not the case. But what this class is gearing you towards is setting you up for setting up your goals that will help you to let go of this, that will help you build and fill your time in ways that align with who you are and who you want to be. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. So identifying what you are ready to let go of and will eventually allow you to recognize what you're ready to welcome in. So friends that no longer serve you. It could also be a habit. So when you look at this plate, I want you to dig a little deeper. At the end of the day, why is it that this is such a big part? Excessive work travel. Exactly. I love that. You're ready to move forward with it. And we will talk a little bit more as we go through this as to our why behind that and why we oftentimes end up with that excessive work travel. But that's going to be something that I also want you to consider here, because maybe it's a habit of saying yes to everything. So another thing that you could be ready to let go of is a habit. So I'm going to write saying yes to everything. And I'm also going to add in people pleasing, because I know a lot of us on here, we are afraid of saying no. We want to serve others. It does help us to feel fulfilled when we help others, but maybe you have a tendency to do so that is a detriment to yourself. So we're also ready to let go of that people-pleasing tendency. And lastly, we are going to write the fear of failure and change. Okay? These are not easy things to recognize about yourself. So I want you all to remember to be kind to yourself as you're going through this. This isn't here to bring up judgment. It's here to help you learn more about who you are so you can become that person that you want to be. Perfection. Stopping self-sabotage. Yes, you guys are ready. I am so proud of you all for sharing that right now, because that is going to be the first step, is to recognize, what are you ready to truly change? Because change can also be scary. So maybe you're ready to let that fear go too. That fear of change, that fear of stopping people pleasing because you're afraid of what's going to happen when I do stop. Let it. We read the Let Them theory for our book club, and I want you to remember, let them, let me. My husband says I live my life through fear, so I'm copying that to give it up. Yes. You are ready to let go of the fear that is holding you back. You are ready to start moving through life with love, making those intentions about coming from a place of love than fear. I'm about to graduate and I'm afraid of self-sabotage. That is tricky. The hard part is that it's a scary time. But I think it's really important for you to know that you did recognize that. So sometimes it's that awareness that you are so afraid that you are going to self-sabotage that can help you to move through this tough period of time with a little more intention, with a little more awareness. Knowing that you could also maybe have a support system behind you to check in with and call you out if maybe they do notice you're self-sabotaging a little bit. Maybe you also, I encourage you in this situation specifically, I want you to have an affirmation that you can tell yourself, that you can work through, and maybe you put it on your mirror. Maybe you make it your phone lock screen. That every time you notice yourself, maybe that fear is coming up or that self-sabotage is coming in, that you can tell yourself, so it honestly gives you that moment to say, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's take a step back here. Why am I doing this? It's really hard when our instinct is to do the opposite. Our instinct is to do, in your case, let's say you know that you should not quit your job. I'm just giving a random example. But you self-sabotage it and you just immediately give it up. I want you to, before you make any rash decisions, take a moment to recognize if that's what you really want. Oh my goodness, that's so interesting, Grains. What's really interesting and what's coming out a lot right now is that this is also that great reminder that you are not alone in the way that you're feeling. Because sometimes it can feel like, am I the only one feeling this way? Am I the only one who feels like I am afraid to move forward to make that change? Am I the only one? XYZ. And I want you to know that you're not, okay? That is a big thing that I'm taking away right now, is that we are all dealing with the same fear, that same insecurity. And that is how we are going to start moving forward. Okay, the next one I want to also suggest. Okay. Is I want you guys then, I think that this is a great entry point to the next question, which is what routines do I want to establish or strengthen? This right here. I want you to look at your priorities. I want you to build from there. The reason we set these priorities as well, and these recognizing what we're ready to let go of, is because we want to feel more aligned and fulfilled. However, these priorities, this space to ready to let go of, those are going to stay abstract unless we anchor them in a routine. So what this question does is this helps you figure out how to bring your intentions into daily life, but do so in a way that is doable and supportive, not overwhelming. So I want to walk you through some different examples that will help you understand the why behind it. Because I mentioned earlier that we would come back to this idea of why behind things. So let me show you what I mean by that. Taking a look at priority number 1, because these two are going to go hand in hand. What are your priorities and what are you ready to let go of? We are going to start by using this example of, I'm going to actually start with number 1, my priority, spend more quality time with my partner and family. You have to come back to your why. Your why here might be that you know that relationships thrive on being present. You need to be present. You can be close in terms of proximity, but if you're not present, it's going to create that distance. And so I want you to think about, okay, so if that's my why behind why I want this to be my priority, what can I do to then counteract or create that feeling? So for instance, I'm going to number these and I'll know that, okay, numbers go with numbers. So this will also be 1, but you could write this in a paragraph format if that works best for you. What you might do in this instance is to choose one night a week that is going to be a connection night. So one night a week is going to be a connection night. That's what I'm going to write right here. And Quills mentioned that she is in graduate school getting her degree in nursing and she's afraid of that self-sabotage. I want you to see if there is one thing that you could do in your routine that would make you feel more confident in your ability to not do this. One suggestion I have would be to every morning set an intention for the day. So that way you know, okay, today I have this goal. This is what I'm working towards, and I'm not going to self-sabotage anything because I am working towards this intention. I think that might help you as well. If you are trying to, in our case, let's list out number 2, which is going to be prioritizing our health through movement and sleep. Again, it's important to ask yourself why this matters. We noticed that we have basically zero time dedicated to exercise. And it's so important that we are showing up for ourselves so we can show up for those around us. So that is ultimately why we need this energy, why we need to focus on our health and our fitness. So we want to consider a routine that would help support this goal. One suggestion would be to create a bedtime routine. And I'm not talking face mask and all that. I'm talking about a simple routine that you can really follow. Nothing too crazy. It could be phone off by 9:30 or just phone on do not disturb. I'm going to write phone on DND because you can also customize those settings. So you can set it so you're not getting your work messages, but if your family messages you, then you can do that. Like they would come through, because as a parent, you can't really just put your phone on do not disturb and have that sense of peace. You need to be able to get in, if your kids are at that age where they have phones, or honestly, even if they're out at a sleepover, anything like that, you can't just shut it off. You can't just put your phone in another room and call it a day. You're going to be anxious and you're going to be feeling a lot of things, right? So instead, find something that would work for you. Putting it on do not disturb unless it is X, Y, or Z. You could honestly just have it set so your emails stop popping up on your phone. That's going to instantly make you feel like, okay, 9:30, it's time for bed. Or winding down. 9:30 is a little early. But then maybe instead of doom scrolling, I want you to try reading. We are going to replace doom scrolling with reading. So Maria, Lakin, I want you guys, yes, exactly, reading. We're going to replace doom scrolling with reading. If you have contacts starred, that's such a great tip, you guys. The phone will ring for them, even on do not disturb. Or in Maria's case, she mentioned that right when she comes home from work, that's when she tends to pick up her phone. I want you to challenge yourself to establish an evening routine that's going to give you, you're not going to want to go from 100 to 0 real quick, right? You are going to start, instead of putting your phone completely away, set your phone to have that timer. So you can set it so your screen time will only let you have exactly on scrolling. That would be another great way. It's finding different routines that will truly work for you, because you are not going to go from 0 to 100. You're not going to go from 100 to 0 in one day. And nor should you, because you are not going to make consistent progress if you go to extremes on day one. Life isn't going to be lived in extremes. We need to find that moderation, that middle ground. You see it as a reward for working a lot for 9 hours, but it's also an addiction. That's so interesting. Yes. Okay. I like that you both, wait, that's so interesting. You both just mentioned that concept of a reward. That is fascinating to me, because I actually never would have thought of it as a reward. That makes that's an interesting twist. I have to think about that for a second, because that tells me, okay, after a long, stressful day, you want to do something that you enjoy, right? That's what that's revealing. But is there something else that would feel like a reward that's not scrolling? Is there something that you could do to replace some of your scrolling time? Because I'm not saying to not scroll at all. I want you guys to still come on, connect with people, but maybe for less time. You could write. Beautiful. My suggestion then would be to have that writing session be your reward. And another tip I would have would be to write before you scroll, because what's probably happening, because I know what happens to me sometimes, is once I start scrolling, all of a sudden, I don't realize how much time I'm spending. So doing the one thing before you start the other might help you as well. And those are just some tips. These are really interesting realizations to be having. Coloring. That's another great one. If you are looking for something specific as well, too, you guys, never be afraid to ask. That's what this is about. I'm loving this conversation, this dialogue that's going on, so keep it up. Another one that might be working for you too, to spend more time on hobbies and passions. Oop, I didn't mean to write that down. But you could write that you want to block out a weekly joy hour. It could be weekly. Block out a weekly joy hour. One other tip I have when it comes to this routines is seeing, okay, if one of your goals is to spend more quality time with your partner, with your family, maybe they would enjoy doing more things that are this sense of hobby with you. So that way you're not always just doing it alone. You can get them involved. So maybe you have a solo joy hour once a week, but maybe you also incorporate different activities with them as well. You could also have it be a date night activity if you're really trying to spend that quality time with your partner that night. Figuring out fun ways to spend time together not only gives you that ability to spend more time on your hobbies and your passions, but also to spend more quality time with your partner or with your family. One other suggestion that I wanted to end on for our routines to establish or strengthen is to be more present and consistent with those you care for. Again, coming back to your why, I need you all to know that being present, it's not a personality trait. It's actually a habit that you build over time. So one thing that you could do would be to having no phone dinner every night. You decide, okay, we cannot have phones at dinner anymore, so no phone dinners. That is actually a really helpful one to help build that connection. And it also teaches healthy habits to those around you. So that when you go out to restaurants, you're not just picking up your phone, you're actually having a dialogue, and it would actually feel funny to pick up your phone. If you live alone and you do dinner by yourself, challenge that too for you. Because there is something to be said about being able to go through a dinner by yourself without your phone. I would say no, you could do no TV dinners. I love a TV dinner at some point, at a certain age. I think TV dinners actually can be great, and they can also make for great conversation, but not every single night of the week. Yes, if you have kids, that is something I highly recommend. We do no screen dinners, is what Lakin is saying, no phones or TV, and it's so great for my family. Exactly. Okay. I think this was such a great discussion for this question, you guys, that I think we are ready. I want to move forward with our next question because this one's also going to be really important. And so I'm going to highlight it just so we all know which one we're on. So the next question is going to be, what challenges ahead and strategies to overcome them? You might be like, wait, why am I answering this? Great question. Because if you expect your journey to be smooth, you're going to end up discouraged the moment it's not. You know that saying, life never goes the way you plan it? It doesn't. So what this does is this question right here is going to help you build resilience by anticipating what might get in your way and preparing in advance. Something that I think can be a big realization here is sometimes you have little habits that tend to get in your way. So when you're answering this question, I want you to consider what tends to derail you. How can you respond differently this time? Yes, exactly, Grains. Old habits. Don't open new doors. And this is going to be also important to recognize how can we respond differently to that problem that arises. So this is what we were kind of talking. I was mentioning it earlier that we would get to that ultimate of what do we do with this? It's recognizing, okay, one of your challenges is fear. I want you to all come up with something, a specific situation in your head that is often coming up. It might look different. It might be different people that it comes up with. But what could you do differently next time? I'm going to walk you through some specific examples to put this into action. And so I want you to also review, again, your plate and the what am I ready to let go of. These are going to be really helpful. So, what am I ready to let go of? Let's start off with career. Overexerting yourself on business trips. Okay? It's important to recognize what might get in the way of that. So put yourself, oh, thanks, Quills. Have a fabulous day. You might picture yourself in the situation where someone comes up to you and is like, okay, we got to go blank. We got to go to Nashville. For what? Okay. For work? Great. I want you, in this case, to come up with a strategy for something that is going to help you do something differently. You struggle. Okay. Pause my thought because I think this is the perfect way to talk about this. Grains just wrote that one of her derailing factors is FOMO, fear of missing out. I think the strategy that I'm about to say is going to help you. I think it's interesting, this idea of FOMO, because what you are ultimately worried about is missing out. But I want you to, whenever this comes up, ask yourself, what am I truly missing out on? Wow, you guys all struggle with FOMO. Okay. Totally fair. You guys are bringing up such interesting points today. I really appreciate it. I want you, the first thing you could always say too is when someone asks you, don't say yes right away. I want you to pause and say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. That is something that really helps in these situations to give you that extra time. So strategy number 1 is going to be to pause and say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. And you'll see how this connects with that FOMO piece in just a moment. Crazy Town Mama said that's one thing she doesn't struggle with anymore. To be totally honest with you, it is something that I don't really struggle with that much as well. But I do remember a time when I did, and that's what I'm channeling right now. So can you channel a time that you were Crazy Town and what you did to get out of that, to stop those feelings from occurring? One thing that I started to do, and what I encourage you all to do, is to start with this pausing statement. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Because what this lets you do is really sit with the fact of what is it that you think is going to happen that you are afraid of missing out on. Does that sound like something that would help you all in this case? For those of you who just wrote in, that is something you struggle with. Because this time alone is going to give you that moment to assess if this is actually something that's going to be fun, that you really have a fear of missing out on. Learn more about the event before jumping on the wagon. Yes. And sometimes it's the fact that your friends will be spending time together and you're like, oof, my friends are all going to be having a good time without me. What are they going to be talking about? Are they going to be having inside jokes? And to be honest, the answer might be yes. They might have inside jokes from it. But what does that really help with you? You just complain a bit and move on. Okay. You know what? That is another strategy. That is another technique. I want you to see, though, if there's a way where you can almost challenge it so we can help eliminate that FOMO piece a little bit. because you have to evaluate whether or not you are going to have that fear more if you stay home or if you go out and think, oh, I'm missing so much at home that I could be doing. Because that happens sometimes. You get that FOMO, you say yes, you go, and then you're there and you're like, I should have said no. I should have said no. I should have gone home. You know, Taylor Swift action. But that is one piece of advice. That is one strategy, is to take that pause, especially also when it comes to that work, that travel for business. This is going to give you that moment to really sit back and see, can I actually do this? Or is it taking away too much time from my family? So another one that often comes up is that the challenge that might come ahead of time is the overbooking. If you overbook yourself, okay? Because you are going to, oftentimes a lot of us, we have a lot that we want to do. We have a lot of interests and we have a lot of responsibilities. But sometimes we overestimate how much our future self is going to have the energy for. And so one strategy could be to set a max per day or per week if this is something possible for you. That's an issue you feel you will have coming up. Okay. So always take that pause first. That's going to be a really helpful thing. The next is going to be setting a max per day or per week. So maybe, for example, you don't do more than 2 social plans with friends twice in 1 week, or you only work late 1 night a week. That might be a strategy to help you balance your time. So to set a max, yes, okay. Sonia said, because I will have work, school, fitness, housework, and kids. That's a lot to balance. That is a lot on your plate to go over to make sure that you are feeling fulfilled in each part. So, what are some strategies that we can do? I think it's important too, when you talk about that fitness and household things, they often get framed as an all or nothing type. In my head, I tend to go for extremes. It's all or nothing. When really it's not about doing it all, going to that extreme. It's actually about, for fitness, for example, it's finding movement that supports your well-being. So a strategy to help with this would be to commit to for that fitness, for example, is to commit to a short walk daily. I know that the gym is really important to you, but maybe going to the gym is taking up too much time because it's the drive there, it's the drive back, you have to walk in, it's all of that. It doesn't need to be, I can't go to the gym, I'm not making time for the gym, so I just can't work out. It is not all or nothing in this case. It is going to instead be, how can we work around this? Perfect. Okay, you work out at home because of time. That's even better. So that's actually another part of your strategy. So amazing. It is going to be finding ways to let go of that all or nothing, though. I think that that's often a very helpful strategy. Or knowing that maybe every day you can't do your full workout. You're not going to have the energy to go to your kids' games, go to work full time, spend time with friends, clean the house, make the dinner, all of that stuff that goes into being a parent. So instead, sometimes you do need to give yourself a little grace, okay? And prioritize on a weekly basis the days that you can make time for things through time blocking. So if you know that you have to be at work on Wednesdays extra early, okay, Wednesday mornings you are not going to make that time for working out. You can maybe make some time at the end of the day on Wednesday to go for a walk with weights, with like those not a Walla, that's a water bottle, with the Bala bangles. Things like that through time blocking to help with your strategy. I want to make sure that these strategies that we're talking about too can help you as well. So, Sonia, if that's not something that sounds realistic for you and you are looking for that help, let me know. We can talk through so many different options. When it comes to those balancing your plans, sometimes I like to have that max of this is how many times I can be social or this is how many times I can work late, specifically if it's something that you are in control of. Time blocking every Sunday. So having a Sunday evening reset or that Monday plan with me. Okay. When it comes to time blocking, one thing I do want to make sure that everyone knows is don't overdo it. So leave a little leeway. If you have a meeting, don't book a back-to-back meeting. Give yourself that extra 15 minutes after. Grains, could you address a strategy for avoidance behavior? I do that when overwhelmed, absolutely, because I feel you, girl. One strategy for avoidance behavior when you are feeling overwhelmed is, I do this actually because I have that tendency as well. I grab a piece of paper and the first thing I do is I write down everything that is on my mind. Every task that is overwhelming me that needs to get done, I put it on a piece of paper. No order, no nothing. Okay. Then I take a look at that piece of paper and I already know you already will feel a little better because it's not just all in your brain. But then what I want you to do is I want you to see what can be done right away. What could be done in the next however long each activity is going to take you. So for example, if you are planning a birthday party, this is just one example that I can think of. You are planning a birthday party and you grab a piece of paper. Let's do this actually. Where is a notebook? Right behind me. Just because I think this is something we all struggle with and I really like that question. So I want you to grab that piece of paper. What you are going to do is list everything that's stressing you out. That way it's right in front of you. So let's say you are birthday party planning. Okay, you need to do invites. You need to do gift favors, gift bags. You need snacks, but you also need a meal. You need to find a venue, music, an outfit, because that's also extremely important. Maybe you want photographs, so photographer, decorations, balloons, because I always do those as two separate because balloons are like such a pain in the neck. A cake. You see how this could be really overwhelming and you would just not want to plan that birthday party? Yeah, me too. Also, next step, I want you to see what can you get off your plate right away. Okay. Step 1, the most important is going to be a venue. So you are going to decide what venue is going to come first, and you are going to now redo this list and make it more structured. So step 1 is going to be a venue. That's going to give you the date and the time. Great. I'm going to cross this off on this side just so we don't have to look at it anymore. Number 2, it's going to have to be the invite. You need people to come. Then, number 3, Grains, do you think that this is helping and kind of helping you see how you could maybe break something down and instead of avoiding it, kind of bulldoze your way through it? I know that our tendency is to pull back, but sometimes you just gotta bulldoze. The next would be, I would say, you would want to, let's see, what's a quick one that you could do? One that's going to be a pain in the neck that you really don't want to work on. Let's just schedule, we need to find a photographer that we like. Great. These are what you are going to get done ASAP. Right away, you're going to get this done. For music, you decide, you know what? I don't need a DJ. I can be the DJ. I'm just going to be my own DJ. I'll be DJ. So we're going to write that down. Great. Music is checked off. So as you are going through this, you are going to realize, oh, okay, this week I can get the venue and the invites done. I'll have the following week for a photographer. You already took the DJ portion out of it. So what I want you to then do is in your planner, I want you to start by looking at the monthlies. So let's say, for instance, your birthday party is the 30th of August, and I need to use this. I'm going to use this planner for the example. So just put yourself and imagine that right now it is July 27th. So it's Sunday. That's crazy. Okay, well, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks till the birthday party, week 1 and week 2, week 1, you need to get these 2 things done ASAP. This one, honestly, you are going to want to get that done week 2, because that's annoying. You're going to have to make the playlist, but is that going to be really that difficult? Probably not. So you can kind of put that off. And I want you to add in all of these deadlines into your monthly calendar, because that is going to give you an overview on a monthly basis of what needs to get done. So that way, on a weekly basis, to take out that intimidation factor and to get that overwhelming feeling off of your plate, you are only going to look back at your monthly to add in what has to get done this week. Okay? That is a great strategy when it comes to avoidance behavior. That is such a great question and something that a lot of us struggle with. So I'm so glad you asked that. And I want to make sure too that anybody on here, if you are ever confused or curious, just let me know. That's what I'm here for. I love to help you guys out with these types of situations. Okay. I think we've covered a lot when it comes to challenges ahead and strategies to overcome them. So I think it's going to be time to move on to the last question in this section. And this is going to be in I think it's pink. Yep, this will be our pink color. And I said pink and then I did purple. Whatever. That's okay. It's just a happy accident. So the next thing I want you to do is fill out, what am I looking forward to this year? Okay. We all need joy in our lives. I think sometimes we forget to have joy because we almost think like, do we deserve it if we didn't finish everything on our checklist? Yes, you deserve joy. And as human beings, we just also need that anticipation. So this question is going to remind you of why you're doing all of this. It's going to bring hope into your planning and also give you something to hold on to, especially on those tougher days. So right now, I want you to list in the comments, what is something you're excited about? It can be big or it could be small. You could be taking a vacation. It could be also spending more time with your family. Deepening a friendship. Starting a new job that you know you're going to love. Seeing your personal growth. Falling back in love with a hobby that you haven't done in a long time. I want you to also let yourself dream a little here and remind yourself of what it is you are truly looking forward to. Starting a new job and going back to school. Yes, Sonia, wait. Hold on. Are you how am I asking this question? Are you excited for like the teaching school part, or are you also going back to school on a side note? Like totally separately? I'm going to add in feeling more at peace. Oh my gosh, Sonia. Wait, that's okay. You got this. You have a lot. Your plate is going to be full, but I'm so proud of you. That's incredible. That's so exciting. That's going to be such a good adventure for you. That is going to be really important then that you lean on those strategies, because I'm sure that overbooking is going to become very easy to do. And I don't ever want I want you to always come back to that balance your plate exercise, because you can always do it on a smaller scale too. You can do it on a monthly basis. You can do it whenever you fill out that monthly reflection. You could do it once a quarter. I'm also going to write spending more quality time with family. And I feel this extra excitement seeing personal growth through this, through our changes that we're going to be making. Okay. Now, as we wrap up this page, I want us all to take a look at everything we just wrote. This one page right here, it holds so much clarity about where you are, what you want, but also what's next. You've defined your year, not by rigid solutions, but by reflection and also intention. So this page right here, this Define Your Year page, it's going to guide you every time you feel stuck or distracted. So I want you to come back to this page often. This is how you plan with purpose. This is how you are going to make space for alignment, growth, and joy. I want to thank you guys all for just spending this hour with me, and I hope you are walking away feeling more clear and more control of your year ahead. Thank you all for defining your year with us here at Define. And I am excited for this new chapter and for us all to be navigating each day with purpose. Thank you guys so much. And I will talk to you all again so soon. Keep defining, you guys.